Hello and welcome.
Hello, welcome back to Driving Home again.
Yeah.
This could be in sequence. We might actually do another. So I'll wait a fortnight to spread it
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
We're actually only recorded one a few days ago, didn't we? We're actually doing quite well.
Doing quite well, yeah. It's not bad.
So it's probably going to be another 3 months
3
before
months,
we get to it. So, usual stuff. Right, so the topic this time, let's go straight into it, I think, is about obsolescence of electric vehicles.
Yeah.
In terms of when it gets to the point where it'll still work, but
Like with a normal car, it gets to I say normal car, petrol or diesel car, they get to around 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, and they sort of become too expensive to repair, and the best place for them is the scrapyard.
Yeah. And there are, well, let's use an example. There's the very earliest EVs, 2011, 2012 Leafs.
Yeah.
The Zoe didn't turn up until 2013, 14.
But we're getting very
14.
close, aren't we, to that sort of age where you would expect a vehicle to maybe not see as many on the road anymore.
No, I mean, bear in mind that a 2011, 2012 Leaf probably sold in tiny numbers.
Yeah. You do see them though for sale.
Yeah.
And I always skip past them.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, isn't it? It's a battery replacement because by then they're probably on. Again, we'll go into why, but this is early first gen battery stuff. Yeah. This isn't how it is today if you're new to EVs.
It's quite a long time ago, but in terms of technology, it's a different
battery technology. I mean, they had no thermal management at all. The battery management was probably fairly basic as well.
Yeah.
And battery technology certainly wasn't. I mean, look at what's in a phone these days compared to what we used to have with the Nokias and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, what was it, 12, 13 years ago when the first EVs realistically came out in this country. That was still, iPhone, second gen maybe iPhone by that point? And smartphones were basically to the point where saying, I ain't having a smartphone, they're rubbish.
Yeah.
I ain't typing on a...
Just 1 second.
These are the professional things that everyone has at podcasts. You just don't see them.
Yeah. Now, either in or you're out.
I think Joe Rogan, the big podcaster, I think he has to let the cat in when he's doing
I think so,
podcasts,
yeah. Just hear him going like that on the glass.
That's all we'd hear, so let's just get him in. So effectively, when smartphones were, no, I ain't typing on a touchscreen, it's rubbish.
Yeah, and then suddenly, you have Blackberries?
Blackberries, yeah, absolutely. You'd want your keyboard. Remember when people were typing on using the thumbs?
Yeah. Click.
You did it.
With the old Nokia's 1 to
ABC on 0 on 2 and so forth, and the numbers corresponded.
It was a skill with that, with your thumb, wasn't it? It was like Morse code.
You could basically type as quick as normal.
Yeah.
But again, technology moved. So in a short space of time, we've gone from hardly anybody owning a smartphone to the entire world. Now, I know EVs aren't quite the same thing, but that's the rate of technology.
Up an awful lot, haven't they, since?
And battery technology for a smartphone increases battery technology for electric cars.
It does.
They increase. If someone invents a solid-state battery for an electric car, which apparently Toyota have already done, they just haven't got the mass production of it done yet.
Right.
Then that will go into a phone that can last a week.
Yeah. Oh wow! Can you imagine that?
Yeah. We did. We
used to have that. I remember 2 weeks on Nokia. Showing his age.
At the moment, given the fact that it's a cottage industry repairing or refurbishing batteries, because there's not enough around. There's probably, a few hundred 2011, 2012 Leafs ever sold. How many are still on the road? I don't know. So there's no one's going to set up a business repairing a few hundred of them, are there? And the Leaf,
But it is interesting to see them still on the road. It'd be interesting to know. You can see how many's left the website.
Yeah.
To see how many.
Should have done that, shouldn't we?
I wonder if we can.
You do that whilst I'm talking.
Yeah.
What shall I talk about? Distraction. No, it's one of those things where they're all working fine. So there's a couple on there for like $2,500.
Yeah.
2011, 2012 sort of year. Obviously the 24 kilowatt hour battery version, and they work the same as they did from day one. It's just the range is probably 40 miles now. 30 odd miles maybe, because the battery is degraded. But again, degradation on early tech is nothing like you would get out of a car that you buy in 2024. So what's this?
So how many left on the Nissan Leaf?
Nissan Leaf. So you can see 2011, that's when they started. So
Q1 of 2011, 140 left. going up to quarter 2, 341, quarter 3,
So you're looking about
500
1,500
in the
from
first
2011.
years, yeah. Yeah.
1,500 cars from 2011, and that doesn't sound like that. Well, actually, that sounds like a lot. But when you're looking at
Well, look. If you look at 1,500, I'm guessing what's it maxing out at? It's maxing out roughly around 3,000 a year, 2,500, 3,000 a year.
yeah,
So it's not gone up as much as as I would have expected.
I bet there was a spike earlier on because let's face it, the Leaf and the Zoe. There you go, 1.8, 1.9. So the peak
Yeah.
was 2013, 1.5 in 2013.
1.9 there, yeah, 2013. That's a lot.
Because there were no other choices.
Yeah,
apart from
that was it.
Tesla or a Zoe.
Yeah.
And the Peugeot and Citroen Ions and stuff like that. So effectively, the
Leaf was okay if you didn't need the space. So the Zoe was okay if you didn't need the space.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you had the Leaf.
Yep.
Or you had a lot of money to spend.
But the Zoe batteries are lasting far better because they've got a much bigger buffer and maybe they've just done it. I don't know.
I mean, the irony, who would have thought the French?
Yeah.
They've
got the best
historically
batteries.
plagued with electrical problems, back in our day when we had
Yep.
hot hatches.
Which is why, certainly by the time this goes out, I imagine everyone knows. I bought that 4.5 grand Zoe.
Oh, yeah.
A bit less. I bought another Zoe.
You bought another Zoe?
Another Zoe. Well, this is a 40 kilowatt, so the same shape. Because the batteries are basically the same. A little bit of degradation on a 9-10-year-old car, whereas the Leaf seem to really be struggling.
Do you think that's to do with rapid charging and at
Which
least
the Zoes couldn't do. could they?
Yeah, I wonder if it's just that
I
kills
think
it.
there's a bit of that because the one thing that I remember when I owned the 24 kilowatt was the Leaf.
The first one.
The first one, yeah, for a
Cube.
year. So we went down to Scarborough,
Wow, that's
550 miles each way in a 24 kilowatt hour Leaf, camping
Wow.
as well for about a week, and it took us I think 6 stops, but that was deliberately shortened. I could have done it in 4 or 3 or 4 or something like that. But I remember coming back. Bear in mind this is summer, so it was warm as well. Coming back, we were on the last charge where it actually rapid charged. If we'd have had to do another one, the car would have gone, my batteries are too hot, you're going to have to wait for me to cool down. Yeah. So it clearly has an effect when there's no battery cooling or anything
Well, it has an optimum temperature. Too cold's no good, too hot's no good. It's that bit it's a sweet spot,
That's
isn't
what Tesla have always understood.
Yeah.
They've always looked after the batteries.
Yeah.
And that's why pretty much every modern car has battery heating and cooling for clear reasons. So I think a combination, like I say, of rapid charging and
That's why you're going to get heat in the battery.
Well, the Leafs, the original Leafs, because I think they changed the battery chemistry after about a year or two.
Right.
In America, in certain parts where it's like 40 degrees outside, like your Arizona types,
Yeah.
some of them wouldn't rapid charge
At all.
once.
Wow.
Because the batteries were already too hot by being sat above the tarmac.
Wow.
So they changed the battery chemistry and that helped it anyway.
But it does need, I guess it goes to show, like you said, active battery management and cooling.
First gen stuff as well, of course. So effectively, there's a lot of Leafs that if I was, because I want to buy more cheap EVs.
I think
It won't be a Leaf.
I think the interest is there. We'll start saying this the other day, won't they? In the channels that we probably watch ourselves, the car-related ones. It's a nice drink you've got there.
Sorry, I'm a bit thirsty.
You've put me off my concentration there. The channels that we watch, they'll start off maybe they're modifying or repairing or looking at affordable cars,
Matt Armstrong.
Yeah.
I think he started off with his girlfriend's Audi.
Audi TT. And then suddenly they're doing stuff that's completely out of your reach. I mean, some of it is interesting.
Really interesting. I love Matt
But
Armstrong's
then
channel.
you sort of lose a little bit of it because if it's unobtainable, you can't really put yourself in their shoes, can you? It's not something you could go, oh, I bet I could do that if I put my mind to it.
No, I mean, it's, like you say, the repairing I won't say bangers, but I bought a cheap car.
Yeah.
And look what I've got.
Yeah.
That's what quite a thing I like.
Yeah, it's the bargain, isn't it? And it's going, wow, this will, look what this will do for this. Exactly, look what I can get for this money.
Yeah, which is exactly what the original Zoe video for. 4,400 for a battery-owned Zoe.
I bet you
still have the same range as it did when it was new.
And that's not going to drop.
I bet it's worth.
It's
Well,
worth
that's only
more,
for
isn't it?
6.5.
Yeah,
And I bet it's still worth 6 and a bit now.
Yeah.
Because it's in the Isle of Man, and with a Leaf, it's not an option.
No, it's the battery, isn't it?
There's a couple out there that have like 11 bars, which is sort of equivalent to what you get out of Zoe. But they've obviously not been maybe rapid charged much and looked after, not many miles.
Are we
but
saying then
there's not
around 13, 14 years for the original sort of Leafs seems to be enough? Because they're going to get to a point, aren't they, where the range is
too low
to be used, that the only reasonable thing to do is replace the battery. But the battery's too expensive. It's almost like if you have a petrol or diesel car, your engine fails, or it's cam belt, or it's just, you know.
You don't buy a brand new engine from Volkswagen, do you?
Well, you go to Volkswagen, and you go, well, that's going to be £3,500 for an engine. Well, what do? You scrap it, don't you, and get something else.
Or you buy a used engine, which at the moment, because of the tiny numbers, you don't get
have
used or refurbished or
Yeah.
batteries, essentially. And even those that do get smashed up, like if you get a 1-2-year-old EV that gets written off, as in properly written off, not repaired, those batteries are getting taken and put in a conversion.
Yeah, people even convert.
The batteries are going for as much as the cars.
Yeah, well, I've seen it where the kit separate is more than you can get a car for.
Yeah.
You know, if you shop around, it's like, I'm sure that's more expensive in component parts than it is to buy the entire thing.
Yeah, I mean, I got asked, I've had a couple actually, of where they said, do you want to do a video about our conversion?
Yeah.
So, basically a company that converts older cars, classic cars, into EV. Not the famous one, but there's a couple others that do it.
I'll tell you what, expensive.
Well, that's what I'm going to say, because this particular one I'm thinking of that happened about a year or so ago, so I imagine prices are either the same or more. There was, what was it? It was a Volkswagen something they did, like a Golf Mark II or something like that. And essentially, their thing was, I think, camper vans. As in, do you know the classics?
Yeah.
And they get Golf Mark IIs and various other stuff. And the reason I said no was because it would be interesting.
Yeah, very.
And I said, it's really, but unfortunately, when you're looking at their prices of, they will source you a classic camper van. So I guess you got a bit, 15, 20 grand in that for a good one?
I would say so, yeah.
They'll convert it, it would rapid charge.
Yeah.
It would be a proper conversion. How much for them to source and convert, do you reckon? Using, and we're not talking Tesla gear here, I don't think.
Just,
I can't, it might have been a Tesla, but
I couldn't,
reasonable, like 30,
I couldn't
40,
even guess.
65 grand.
Yeah.
And I said, my channel's generally on the cheaper side of things. There's a value option.
Yeah.
I do
no
not
one's
see...
going out and spending 65 grand. And again, on something that at the end of the day, it's going to be incredibly hard to resell.
That's the thing, yeah. No, it's not worth that to anyone else.
It's only worth that if it's going to be your toy forever.
Well, they did a Mark II Golf GTI EV conversion, and it made it reasonably quick, or quicker than it was. It was a very impressive engineering thing, and clearly someone wanted that.
Yeah.
But like you said, that will be next to worthless to anyone else, because that's like it's like a custom car, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's only you that owns it. It's like buying a car from what was the TV show that?
Pimp My Ride. Yeah, it's going to be like something like that, isn't it?
It's too unique to somebody.
It's one of those things. If you get in a camper van and someone's converted when your range is only 120 miles or something like that, you could go, well, I can spend 40, 50 grand on a camper van that's a petrol or a diesel and not have to worry about that. And also the reselling, that's going to be a lot better.
That's basically what I said to the guy. I said, I really appreciate the offer, but unfortunately, when you can buy let's say a Model 3 Performance and a car that you're converting, but in its original form, I can't see the reason for it. And I'm one of those, as we've said in previous podcasts, that unless the engine's terrible, like a DeLorean or something, I want it to be original. I don't want someone to buy a thatched cottage and put a modern roof on it because it's more efficient.
We chatted about this before in the podcast, haven't we? I think did we sort of decide that if the numbers of the vehicle were high and the engine wasn't particularly special, then by all means do that. But if it was something like, did someone do a Testarossa, didn't they?
Oh,
I mean, I understand that
the Tesla Rossa.
Again, it's a special car, isn't it, with a special engine. I understand the concept of making it an electric car, but it just seems to have taken a bit of the sparkle out of it for me.
Well, no one's going to buy that.
Tell you what, I flip it on its head. It's as daft as when the guy put that V8 in his Tesla.
Yeah.
It's like kind of pointless.
I mean, I quite like the Defender conversions and stuff. Because there's lots of them.
Yep. And the engine wasn't messed, unless you got the V8, the engine was...
And ultimately, that it kind of makes sense. But even then, you're looking at 80, 90 grand.
Yeah, I think I'd just buy an older Defender and then something for the weekend, sir.
Exactly. Or just now you can buy a full electric 4x4.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And I know it's classic, but it's only for people who have that money to waste.
Lots of money, yeah.
Anyway, we're going a bit off piece here.
Yeah, as we do.
As we do. But yeah, for me, I would say 2011 to 2013 Nissan Leafs.
Yeah.
Unless there's a few out there, but for the most part, given the fact there's about 1,200 left in there.
Probably.
I would say they're not obsolete because there's always someone out there that says, that 40, 50 mile range is fine for me. But when you get to 30, I mean, I've seen a couple that were like, it was like cheapest Leaf that's working. It was $2,500. They're like, I might look into this. And then you look at it and it's got 4 bars out of 12. Bear in mind, the first bar on a Nissan Leaf is
it's a massive drop, isn't it?
It's 15%.
Yeah.
So you drop that, and then it's something like 6% every bar after that.
It's going to be absolutely knackered, isn't it?
It'll do 20 miles.
Yeah.
And I know you could say, well, there's some usage found somewhere. If you can use a scooter that does 20 miles, you can probably. But
talk about range anxiety.
Yeah, it's not going to be working, is it?
No.
Even though that's the annoying thing, the car will work exactly as it did before. It'll drive the same. It just doesn't have the range. And the battery you could probably replace for less than people think, $2,000 or $3,000, I reckon.
But I guess the trouble is that even with a new battery in it, it's not going to be one of those things where you're going to see that value back. If you want to keep the car forever, then by all means, I think get the battery changed.
But again, they're first gen stuff. Yeah. This is not an EV thing. This is the worst possible option you could pick. The oldest, worst better. Yeah. But even those will probably go eventually. I imagine the new Zoe will fare better than the old Zoe. Now, here's an interesting thing. This is from another YouTube channel that I've talked to him personally a few times. He's not. I don't think he's online now, but he has an old Tesla, like a 2014. It was one of the first. Okay. His battery went, as in it died. Took it to Tesla. I think he'd done like 100,000 miles, 140, 50,000, something like that.
So well out of warranty.
And Tesla said, we recommend replacing the high voltage. No doubt someone else would have been able to repair his.
Yeah.
But very much a Tesla thing. And I think it cost him $8,000. Okay. That came with a 4-year warranty.
Oh, right, okay.
So on a 2014 car.
Yeah.
And there's not wrong with the car itself. It was in mint condition in terms of the bodywork, everything worked. Would you say £8,000 on a Model S for a 4-year warranty on that battery?
I would say it's
getting close.
It's less than what I thought Tesla would charge for it.
That's a refurb, not a new one.
And given the battery has got a 4-year warranty on it, and the car itself, the thing you got to look at is what a lot of people don't understand is that when they're looking at older vehicles and the price comes down, then you look at an old Mercedes AMG or an M3 BMW. And you're going, wow, you can pick these up for 20 grand.
Yeah.
But what you forget is the service items on them are still really, you want a set of discs and pads for the front, you're talking thousands of pounds.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, isn't it? The Tesla Model S is an expensive, is it called executive? It's not a sports saloon, is it? It's an executive saloon.
I would say it's M5 era in the performance.
Yeah. So it's
5 series.
You're going to see, it's going to be expensive to maintain. It's going to be expensive to keep. Because the parts that were used in it originally were expensive.
And it was the first one they ever designed.
Yeah.
There's clearly going to be progressions in technology, progressions in how they make stuff more reliable.
I don't think that's too bad, because the thing is, if you average it out at £2,000 a year, that's probably a lot of people
paying. And it'll last longer than that.
Yeah, but people are paying a lot. I guess it's only an issue if you imagine you've got finance on it, and then suddenly you've got an extra £2,000 a year on it. If you paid it off and you go, well, effectively, this is just like buying finance on a different car.
Well, I just recently saw a video on someone who has a Porsche Taycan. He's paying about £1,250 a month.
Wow.
I'm guessing that's PCP. So it's like, in 2 months he spent more than he will a year on that.
Yeah.
Keeping his battery going.
Yeah.
And I know it's a lot of money, and I don't know if they did finance for the battery or something like that, but essentially, you're thinking...
PCP at 1,200?
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that's a lot of money, isn't it? That's crazy.
It'll be a business write-off or something like that. But ultimately, you're thinking, it's a lot, but for 4 years, that car will just work with standard repair. And there's loads of people that can repair stuff now, as in easily repair.
Can you charge for life?
I'm not sure if he could. I don't know. Maybe.
That's another thing maybe to think about. If your car could charge for life and you did the miles and you go, well, I'm going to save something on this.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's too bad. If you look at it as a single payment of £8,000 and then you think I'm going to get rid of it on Tuesday, it's a stupid amount of money. But if you think, well, I'm going to pay £8,000 and I'm going to keep it for at least 3 or 4 years.
Well, that car's probably worth about 12 grand now. If you sold it. Maybe 13, it's hard to know. So spending 8 means you can sell it again.
It does.
If he'd have just scrapped it, he'd have probably got 3 or 4 or 5 grand for it.
Well, it's like if in days of past when your cam belt went, and you go, well, I can sell it as it is now, and it's worth X amount of money, or I can pay £1,000, have it fixed, and it's worth twice as much.
My TT. The cam chain was loose, and it was
Loose.
It was the cogs.
I drove that to the garage, hadn't it? There was no cogs on it.
But if that had gone, that car would have gone from being worth roughly 10 grand with its very low mileage, or how much with a knackered engine? Probably what,
a couple,
1,500 quid, a grand?
Yeah.
Because the engine at low mileage is being material.
Yeah, it's because it's ruined.
So all of a sudden, I'm like, well, yes, it cost me £1,800 to fix. Hello. So £1,800 is a lot, but it means my car's worth 10 grand
and
again.
how old's your car?
19 years old.
So
it's spent most of its life in a barn.
So I don't think it's that big of
Some
thing.
40,000 miles.
Yeah, it's not like you're paying that per year.
No. And it means I can sell it if I want and get my money back. In terms of if I'd have just let it go to scrap, I'd have lost everything I paid
I bet
initially
as well,
for it.
Going back to the Tesla and the 8 grand thing, if that person had bought a 5 Series BMW, I bet, given the mileage and the years, they'd probably paid somewhere close to that to have it serviced and looked after.
Well, this is the thing, innit?
Including like wear of discs and pads.
It's
the
incremental, innit? Yeah. Because the Tesla, the Model 3 and Y don't need, other than brakes and discs, because literally, I've serviced mine once in nearly 4 years, and that was out of sheer curiosity, and because it needed an MOT. Yeah. So even the Model S, even if you serviced every year, and I'm pretty sure he's probably maybe changed his brake discs and pads once.
Yeah.
Like you say, you'll have saved thousands on maintenance alone compared to an equivalent 530 maybe, 530D.
With the servicing, I'd say if I was to buy an older Zoe or something like that, even the 40, I don't think I'd bother servicing it. I'd take it once a year just to have a mechanic look at it.
Well, MOT essentially, yeah.
And when you've got it in for the MOT, have a look at the discs and pads, any of the fluids that, that need
brake fluid, basically.
Power steering fluid.
Well, what's the service on a Zoe? If you ignore the suspension components, a service is literally, as far as I know, plugging it in to see if it's all right.
The main point, in my mind, of getting a service is to replace your oils, which are degradable.
Yeah, to increase your longevity of your engine. And brake fluid can be tested or replaced. Yeah. So I guess
it just
brake
seems
fluid.
Completely pointless to go, I'll tell you what, we've done servicing for years on cars. What about electric cars? Oh, they've still got, it's not like they take the motor out, is it, and check the inside of the motor.
Change the gearbox oil. No.
Blinker fluid.
Yeah. And that's the thing, isn't it? I suppose the Bangonomics are very different with an EV when they get to that stage, but when there's enough of them to be Bangonomics, because it's like, well, as long as it's working, like the old Leafs, if that battery was all right, the motor's just going to work. Yeah. Or not. There's no in between.
There's no servicing on that.
Lumpy.
There's no servicing on that motor, is there?
No.
It just seemed slightly bizarre.
Well, I've just spent £2,500 on that TT because I did a major service.
Oh, everything done.
Everything was done.
Well, that means you know everything. You had the Haldex done, the servicing, the plugs,
gearbox oil, because it's a DSG. Everything was done, and then of course the cam chain. Which
exhaust.
Yeah, forget the exhaust. But what I'm saying is that £2,500 is to keep a car running. Yeah. That is never thought of. That will never be a thing on an EV.
No.
But people ignore maintenance. Oh, it cost me £1,000 last year, but it doesn't matter. It's still running. It's still the original car. No, it's Trigger's broom.
It is, yeah.
Same broom for 20 years. I've just replaced the handle and the broom.
Exactly.
You can keep a petrol diesel car running for longer though, easier at home. Yeah. That's the difference. You can't do it at home with a battery.
No, I think maybe not for a little while, but maybe in 5 or 6 years there'll be more places that do battery refurbishment. I mean, given the amount of Corsas, the whole Vauxhall Peugeot group, the amount of cars they've sold with identical batteries in all of them. Yeah. There's going to be somebody who starts specialising in replacements of those.
You can get it done now. I'm sure of that. I've seen a few people, but it's just the economics thing. Well, even a knackered 24 kilowatt-hour battery that's got 60% left is still worth quite a lot to someone who wants to whack it on their wall.
Yeah.
As a home battery. Yeah. It's still got like 12, 13 kilowatt-hours. Yeah. So the car's still worth 2 or 3 grand.
In parts.
Yeah, so that's why they're not really dropping to the point where people go, I'm going to refurbish, I'm going to buy 3 batteries and get one good one out of it. But you can get them refurbed, it's just the economics probably doesn't make sense.
It's the whole man maths thing, isn't it? You're going, well, I'm looking at this and on paper it's not going to be worth, I'm not going to see anything out of it. No. Actually, if I come to sell it, I'll actually have lost money.
So
it's not an emotional purchase, is it, on a 20 12 leaf.
But it's the numbers. In 30 years from now, like you say, there'll be so many, there'll be I won't say a scrapyard, but there'll be a used market where there will be lots of spare parts, where an industry will think, right, there's enough used EVs on the road for me to create a refurbished battery plant. Or whatever they do, there's probably people...
If there's money in it, people are going to do it.
Exactly. And when you've got millions of EVs on the road, someone will make money out of that. But we're not there yet.
No, we're just going to see... Well, like I say, we're just going to see the start of this now, aren't we, really?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people doing Tesla stuff because they're worth a lot of money, of course, relative to something like a Leaf. And it will carry on, I'm sure. I'm sure when his battery went, it was probably just a few packs.
Yeah.
And Tesla will then take that, refurbish it, and then give it to someone else. Sell it to someone else, no doubt.
Yeah.
So, this whole thing of you need a new battery, the fact that it's not a battery, it's many batteries.
Yeah,
after X years, it's like, no. That
just
will
some cells.
It'll get repurposed.
Yeah.
It will get fixed and sold to someone else and refurbished, like an engine does.
Yeah.
Like a fairly rare engine. You have an
like
RS 5 or something.
So, before, many years ago, I looked at getting a refurbished gearbox because I thought my gearbox was going, end up just being some oil, but went and got it all priced up. And effectively what they do is they send a refurbished gearbox to the garage you're getting it done at prior to your car turning up. You leave a deposit with them. And then what they do is they send your knackered gearbox to them. It's the same sort of thing, isn't it? It's a refurbishing of that. You're not getting a brand new gearbox because, hey, that'd be thousands of pounds.
And in terms of the Bangonomics, I guess, if you buy, like I said, an old Leaf, Zoe, whatever, apart from the brakes, there's nothing to look after.
No.
There's literally nothing to fix.
The only serviceable item I say on that car is your fluids, your brake fluid, your power steering fluid, which it's going to be more
air conditioning
fine.
Maybe.
Or you just don't bother with it.
Or you just don't fix the air conditioning. So yeah.
Tyres, brakes, bushes and suspension.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which is all MOT stuff anyway.
Yeah. So in terms of obsolescence, when do you think my Tesla Model 3, bought in 2020, because bear in mind that batteries, Tesla will really look after their batteries. I think the batteries will outlast the average car.
I think you're looking at, probably with that, I would say 15 years, maybe a little bit longer, with one major incident in that time.
Yeah, maybe a battery refurbishment. Yeah. Depends how many miles you do, of course.
But you'd say that with any normal vehicle. Within the space of a vehicle, I like to call it the midlife crisis. You buy a vehicle and you look at it and it's a bit ropey.
7-year-old.
It needs the bushes doing.
Cam belt maybe.
Yeah, it might have a knackered shock on it. And you think, well, if I put the money into it, it's going to see it through the rest of its life.
Your Mini.
Yeah.
How much would that have cost to repair you ended up selling it in the end?
I sold it. Yeah. It needed engine wiring loom. Yeah, and I think the quotes I were getting were like £4,000.
Because no one wanted to do it, did they?
No. Even the mini specialist said, I can do it, but I'm not gonna because it means I've got to put all my other work off. Effectively, they have to strip the car back to component part, take the loom out, put the new loom in.
And it wasn't repairable with the loom either.
No. And that's a design fault on most of the...
On your particular... Yeah. So all of a sudden, you've got 3-4... imagine that with an EV. Oh, 4 or 5 grand. Sound familiar?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's happened forever.
Yeah.
It's just with a petrol car, you expect it. And like you say, over 150, 200,000 miles of a petrol diesel car,
you're going to get
how much have you spent on maintenance?
Yeah, lots.
And repairs, and exhausts. And
you got every 10,000 miles or...
Yeah. The oil alone's probably into 4 figures.
I'd have thought so, yeah.
Over 150,000 miles and 10, 12, 15 years. And interestingly enough, according to the RAC, I think this was back in 2020, 21 maybe, the average age of a car was, I think, 13 years, 3 months or something. Before it got scrapped. So obviously that's the average.
Yeah.
Some will go early if they get smashed.
Yeah.
Some will last longer. But let's face it, if you look at
13 years, is a long time, is it?
No.
It's no wonder we don't see any
EVs will do that easy.
Was it the Saxo VTRs and the VTSs? I remember when you couldn't cross a road just for seeing loads of them, could you? And now there's none. No. We both owned I owned yours, didn't I? Afterwards, the 306 GTI.
GTI 6 was a great car.
And now, there's just none, is there?
There's none for sale.
I think I've seen one in the last 3 or 4 years on the road.
The last time my jaw literally dropped and went... I was washing a car on my driveway and looked up and it was this mint condition, black, same one I had.
Yeah.
306 GTI 6 was just driving up my road with this old lady in it. And I'm like,
Run out in front of her.
well, yeah, well, she drove up, turned round, and then she must have come up the wrong way. Or
Yeah.
whatever. And to this day, I'm like, why didn't you stop her
Yeah.
and say, excuse me,
I'll give you $1,000 for it.
how much do you want for that? Because, like you say, you just don't see them. And that's not because, you know, and say, well, you can keep them running forever. No, you can't.
I think what happens with stuff like this is they get to a point when they're only worth a couple of £1,000s, maybe even less. And when something does go wrong, like EVs and batteries or the engine, is you go,
Or DSG gearbox.
yeah, the money I'm going to put into this isn't worth the value of the car.
So I'll just
So there's only a few people who really had an emotional attachment or just were very lucky who have these cars still. I think that's the whole thing, isn't it? It gets to a point where the car's worth so little.
economical to repair.
Yeah.
I mean, the DSG I mentioned then, there was someone that lives not far from us, I think one of my daughter's friends' parents. They had an Audi A4, I think it was 2014. So,
Yeah.
you know, what, at the time, that would have been 8.5 years when this happened. The DSG box developed a fault. It was going to cost them nearly £2,000 to fix.
Yeah.
So they traded it in.
Yeah. No, I guess it's one of them where if you trade it in the garage, you're going to go, well, trade rates in the garage.
Oh, they got very little. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you can repair that yourself,
Yeah.
fine. That's one advantage that you don't have, I guess, at the moment with an EV.
You
There's
can't
no one
really
that
do
can really, apart from a few specialists, do
You
it.
could give it a go. No, don't give it a go.
Just lick your fingers before you touch the high voltage.
I always find it's best just with your tongue like a battery.
Is it on? So no, it's the obsolescence. If I guess we go back to square one, I think we're there for a few of the Leaf stuff.
Yeah, I think
There's
we're
always going to carry on for a lot longer, especially if it's leased.
Yeah, well, yeah. How long will the lease? How long can you lease for battery from
As far
them?
as I know, it never ends.
So you
Whether
could
or not
have
they can force the issue for you to buy it off them, I don't know.
I just wonder if if when the Leaf gets to 15 years old and you go, oh, the battery needs doing now. I guess they'll have had their fill of money from people paying that insurance, as it were.
I don't know if people have probably forgotten this, but my first Leaf and all of the initial ones were battery leased.
Your Leaf was?
Yeah.
I didn't really
It's
know
called
that.
Flex. And basically, it was the same as Renault, 'cause it's,
Right.
you know, the joint
Yeah,
company
yeah.
sort of thing, wasn't it? And it was only in 2017, 18, 19, something like that, where every Leaf that turned up at a dealer, the dealer made it a battery-owned car.
Right.
Basically, it was like a push by Nissan.
Yeah, just to get rid of them.
You could buy it out yourself, or every dealer changed it around.
Do
and
you
adopted it.
think at that point they'd started seeing failure rates in them?
Oh, we've got money back from it, let's just sell it.
Let's make,
Yeah.
I wonder if...
I think they saw the future.
I think they did, yeah.
Yeah.
I think they probably looked at the data they were getting back and going, oh God, these are degrading a little bit quicker than we thought. Tell you what, why don't we give you the batteries?
Yeah, because at the moment they're still healthy.
Yeah.
But in 3 or 4 years' time, maybe not.
They're going to be, yeah.
Although
Of course they did that. They haven't done that, have they, to go, oh, well, these people are paying too much money for this battery. They've done it to protect themselves.
I mean, it was
haven't they?
unpopular.
Yeah.
As in, people didn't like the idea of a used car and then having to pay 50 quid,
Yeah,
60 quid on top of it. But yeah, I can see they've done it because they knew
Financially,
Yeah.
It does make sense. And not that a company like that doesn't, well, most companies aren't going to do something out of the kindness of the heart.
No.
They're going to go, well, financially, this makes sense just to get rid of them. Let's try and spin this as something
Because
else.
we've already got 5 or 6 years of loan payments.
We've listened to you. We know you didn't want to...
Yeah, but there has been a few people that have done that I remember seeing on Twitter. I remember a guy, because the 24 Leaf came with a 5-year warranty on the battery, and the 30 Leaf came with an 8.
Right.
100,000 miles. So clearly that was worth getting
Yeah.
over the 24 when they sold them side by side briefly. And I remember a guy bought a 30 kilowatt hour Leaf, and it was on like 7 or 8 bars.
Okay.
And I think it basically anything below 70% ish, Nissan have to do something with it. So basically, he bought it. It had 6 months of warranty left on the car. So he basically said, "I'm going to deplete it to empty, and then charge it up a bit, and then I'm going to rapid charge. Within a month, next bar came off. Took it to Nissan, drove home a couple of months later with a brand new battery.
Wow.
Because the person who was selling it didn't realise that it was under warranty still.
Yeah.
So he looked out on that one, but I think that's something that has gone now. I guess they're too old. Even the 30 kilowatt hour Leafs now.
Yeah,
I mean, 8 years ago, what was that? 24. That's a 2016 Leaf minimum.
I feel old.
So you need. Well, I've been looking at Model S's.
Yeah.
As a content car. an old used Model S. Yeah, I'm thinking, right, but I will not buy one that doesn't have a battery warranty because it's not so much I don't trust it. I have to get that money back because I'm spending more money than I've got just for content. So that means I'm buying, if I ever do this, it'd have to be at least a 2017 car.
You don't make that much money from YouTube to be able to be a financial write-off, do you?
Not to spend 15, 16, well, 12, 13, 14, 15 grand on something that might end up costing me 6 or 7 to repair. Not because, again, I'm sure it will be fine, but I don't want to take that risk.
Ringing around some battery refurbishment places at that point.
Oh, God,
Hi, would you like to do a bit of a series of a...
And that's the beauty about the older Teslas up to 2020. Infinite, Model S's anyway, and X's, infinite mile warranty.
Yeah.
Up to 8 years.
Yeah.
So any Model S up to 2020, I don't know what cut-off point it was, apart from the 60 kilowatt-hour version, comes with a truly infinite mile warranty. So if it's got 200,000 miles on it, in fact, that car I sent you a couple of days ago,
some, wasn't it?
328,000 miles on it.
Wow.
In 2021 it had a new motor, in 2022
battery as well,
it had a new battery.
Yeah.
Oh, buy a Tesla. Not maybe new, probably refurb.
Do you know, the thing with that is, I see the miles and I go, oh, it'd be good to own that, wouldn't it? Just for the miles.
It'd be great content.
Yeah.
But then when you find that
High
the
mileage
batteries have been... Well, that, I think it was 12.5 grand?
Yeah.
I'm like, but the batteries have been refurbished by Tesla a couple of years ago.
They'll still be under...
I presume you get
warranty.
some sort of warranty. I don't know what the warranty is on that particular one, but either way, you're like the motors are only 2 or 3 years old. The battery has been refurbished a couple of years ago. It's like 12.5 grand's not bad for Model S.
As long as the electrics are, in terms of the, the screen and the internal things and
you
the
can upgrade
aircon
them.
and stuff like that, as long as they work.
You know about the MCU upgrade, as they call it? Basically, the early Teslas, you can put the modern PC in it.
Yeah, yeah.
So they call it the MCU2 upgrade. So I think mine's got the Gen 3. So you've got Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3. You can change the Gen 1 to Gen 2 or 3. Yeah. I'm not entirely up to speed on it. But basically, you can give it the CCS.
You could just blue tack your phone to the screen.
Well, essentially, it means it can do everything a modern Tesla can do.
Yeah,
it gives it the same system, as you're looking at it, as the one that's in mine.
Wow.
And that's on a 2014 Tesla if you want. I don't know. I think it's about 1,200 quid. And you get a warranty with that.
Well, do you know what? That's not that expensive, though, is it?
For a full infotainment upgrade?
Yeah.
How much would it cost for an integrated dashboard replacement of a Golf?
Yeah.
Because it's all embedded in it. You can't just replace the head unit anymore.
Well, I remember looking at when I was BMW and replacing the infotainment system on that for one that supported Apple CarPlay and Google whatchamacallit.
Yeah.
And that was over £1,000 for a genuine BMW one, and that was grey as well, not from a BMW dealer. Getting the parts from a guy who does it in Lithuania on eBay. So send you everything you need, and I think the parts alone were more than £1,000 for that. And that was just a screen and some cabling.
Yeah, so Tesla basically will put your modern interface for that with a with the
and that's them doing it, not me trying to pull a dashboard to pieces and end up with loads of screws missing.
And you can do a CCS upgrade, which is apparently quite cheap, where they basically take the Tesla connector for the CCS one, so you can use all the newer superchargers. So the fact that you can upgrade an older one to a certain point, and there's loads of Hevra garages around now. Where you can repair the door handles and when you got
the little bits and pieces,
the electronics that every car suffers from. But I think because you can't just take it around to Bob's garage. That puts people off. But as we've found out when I last looked at Hevra garages when he had the Twizy, I need to get it MOT. There's 2 in Skipton. I'm like, all right, I didn't know this.
On your doorstep.
Yeah, right on my doorstep. Don't know how good they are. I've never tried them, but either way, I'm like,
there's 2.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. Not like you got to drive to Manchester.
So I think it's one of those that will eventually get there. So this obsolescence for me is a temporary thing until we get to standard car obsolescence. Really, innit?
Yeah.
I mean, I look at an EV like a laptop. If something big goes, it's going to cost you a lot of money to fix.
And the older
Whereas a petrol car is like a desktop where you can replace the motherboard or the processor or the hard drive. It's a little bit more, easier for the user to fix.
Yeah.
Whereas,
it's only because we've had 100 years of...
Well, this is what I find fascinating. Electric vehicles are rubbish. They'll never work. We've had a decade of development.
Yeah.
A decade.
Yeah.
And you're already scared that they're taking over from petrol. And look, what do you think is going to happen? Another decade.
Yeah.
And another decade after that.
Well, I always look at just the amount of moving parts in a petrol or diesel car.
It's a fascinating engineering thing, isn't it?
How a petrol and diesel engine, when it moves so much...
And at the speed.
Yeah.
The engine's doing... You can't even see it's a blur. How's that timed?
Yeah.
How is a chain doing that? It's fascinating. It's brilliant technology. But when you think electric motor just basically just spins.
Yeah, that's the wonder. There's less things to go wrong in it because it's just so simple.
And, well, yeah. But I think maybe that's it. Sometimes people like things to fix. There's more fun in the project than the end result.
Yeah.
And maybe because there won't be many EV projects.
Well, what you could do with one, you can't.
Change the motor, probably.
The only EV projects for me are putting EV stuff into an old petrol, MX-5 with a...
There's a kit for them, isn't there?
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, because there's lots of MX-5s. I won't mind that.
That'd be kind of interesting. But in terms of getting, I don't know, an old Leaf and putting, what in it, Tesla gear in it, it'd be good for giggles, but it's not going to be as much fun as getting
Just get a Tesla.
Yeah, it's not much fun as getting a Mark II Golf and putting, a crazy V6 engine in it. That'd be more fun.
Well, we've said this before on previous videos, haven't we? Do you like the National Trust?
Yeah.
I'm afraid you're not allowed to do that to that house. It's too important.
Yeah.
We need a National Car Trust.
We do, yeah.
You can't convert that into an electric version of it.
I'm really sorry.
It's too important. There's only 10. Don't put one of them off the road to make it electric. Yeah. The engine's unique. Don't get rid of it. It's culturally important for me.
Well, it needs to be put in a museum, or it needs to be, I think that's the thing, maybe it's the thing about Goodwood, isn't it? That's quite good, is that you see all these vehicles where there are only 1 and 2 left of them in the world, and you get to see them and hear them as they're intended. And it's nice. Maybe that won't happen when we're older, and people will just be all looking at various EVs.
Well, it's generational, isn't it? I mean, our daughters won't grow up missing the petrol engine anywhere near as much as we will.
No.
And then even certainly the generation after them won't even know about petrol engines beyond, like us with gas lights.
Oh, that's loud. Why is that rally car making all that banging? Well, that's anti-lag.
Yeah. You used to put flammable liquid and explode it inside the car you're sat in to make it go forward. Is that what you did, Grandad? Yeah.
Well, it's like gas lights, isn't it? What, Grandma? You had to put the gas on the ceiling in a lamp to light the room. Yeah, that's how we did that. Gas fridges.
And no one died.
There's gas fridges as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's people don't like progression. How many times have we said this at work? The most dangerous phrase in the world is we've always done it this way.
Yeah.
And we've said this time and time again. I mean, it has to work and it has to be as usable or better than the current option. At the moment, for some people, a lot of people, it isn't. But neither was the early smartphones.
No.
What a lot of these YouTubers are doing that hate EVs are basically looking at the first smartphone and proclaiming smartphones will never work.
But the thing, I think what they do is a lot of times they don't pick on, but they always choose the worst case scenario.
Oh yeah.
It's not the 99.9% of the time where things work all right.
I can get from London to John O'Groats quicker in a diesel car. Right? How many people do that on a regular basis?
Well, I think how many times when you drive on the motorway though, do you see just lines and lines of EVs that have just run out of charge along the way? I don't hardly ever see anything like that. I sometimes see an EV that's broken down, whether it's a flat, whether it's run out of charge, I don't know. But
well, they do break down.
And the same thing that you do see brand new cars parked at the side of the road with the hazards on. People run out of petrol. The amount of time you see somebody with a jerry can.
Per, like 1,000 cars on the road, way more people run out of petrol than they do electric. Way more. And that's coming from the AA.
Yeah.
It's not just like a statistic I've made up, or a guy from Facebook said this, or a guy I know that works for an insurance company, and he told me. And that's the thing, innit? If you don't cite your sources,
Yeah.
I don't believe it.
Yeah.
I'm afraid. But no, I think the obsolescence is creeping in now in the used
the first
market.
gen stuff, yeah.
Yeah, and they're not going to be repaired.
No, they're not.
They'll be pilfered.
It's not cost effective. Yeah, they're going to be stripped to parts.
Because the parts are worth more than the car. Getting it back on the road will be.
Yeah.
Old Teslas, again, pilfered for parts.
Yeah.
Tesla motor in a something else. How often do you hear
reduce the battery size as well, can't you, from what I've seen?
You can probably...
So you can half it or something like that.
Take the packs out, something like that.
To make it lighter. Some people do that. So again, you could probably get, a Tesla with a large battery, take the knackered cells out and put the good ones from the other bit in.
Yeah. And then, or just do a conversion into something or whatever. So, I mean, that ultimately, that's not obsolescence though, is it? If everything,
that's
apart
recycling.
from... reuse, recycle.
Yeah.
So it's not getting scrapped or binned.
No, it's getting used for other stuff.
Neither would a petrol car. Apart from oil and bits of engine components, if you have a knackered engine, someone strips that car down and sells it on the scrapyard or eBay.
Well, it's worth metal, isn't it? You melt the metal back down, and you got another car.
Another car. So it's, so again, it's another usage for it. So I suppose the worst things in the world for obsolescence, I think, are PCs and laptops.
Phones,
yeah.
Every 2-3 years.
Well, that's because of the contracts, isn't it?
Yeah.
People don't buy. I always buy my phones now. Save up, buy it, and then I SIM only. I used to obviously get the subscription, but people think they get a free phone. You don't get
a free phone.
You're just buying it on finance.
Yeah.
It's literally like 50 quid a month now for a
just a basic.
And when you can get the SIM only for 10 or 15 quid a month, it's like, no, you're paying 35, 40 quid a month.
I'll buy the phone.
For 2 years, have you noticed now? All phone contracts are 2 years.
Some longer.
It's always a year for me.
Yeah. Sometimes you do it I've seen it where they do it I think they do it in 2 separate parts now. So your phone contract's like 3 years, but your data and voice thing is like 2. So you're stuck in for 3 years for your phone.
Wow. So you're basically getting a loan for your phone.
Yeah. But when did a phone cost like 1,500 quid, can't you now, for a phone?
Oh, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. We couldn't cope without them in our job, certainly with YouTube stuff, and I probably spend more time on that than any other device I've got.
Oh, without a doubt.
Whether it's watching something or just communicating or looking on the internet.
Yeah.
There's astonishing pieces of equipment. So I don't mind spending a lot on something I use a lot.
Do you remember the old days we had to take a book to the toilet?
Book? Like a magazine?
Like a magazine, yeah.
I always used to get told off by my mum when I were, I don't know, 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever. Because at the top of our stairs in the house was the toilet.
Yeah.
You know, when you had a separate toilet.
Yeah.
And I used to just leave basically with my beano like that on the toilet for about an hour, with the door wide open for everyone to see me coming up. But yeah.
All right.
Now YouTube is toilet TV, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Although it's getting increasingly more. I've had a look at my analytics. I reckon 40% of people that watch my channel now is on a telly.
On a telly?
That's crazy.
Wow. We're going to have to really up his game, aren't we?
Well, all these things where I go, it's a little blurry, but no one's going to notice. But they probably are.
4K TV.
Yeah. Well, yeah, on 4K, yeah. I am rendering 4K. It's bloody ages.
Yeah.
That's on a new laptop.
The amount of data you need, the storage.
It's not needed, is it? But it will be eventually.
It will be eventually.
I'm saying it's not needed.
Yeah.
But let's face it, 1080p has become the new SD, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Standard definition. But no, I think
we're reaching sort of the end sort of time out with some of the older vehicles.
Yeah.
But in terms of newer vehicles, like I was saying before, I think 15 years is doable for most EVs.
BMW have always said with the i3,
Yeah.
the batteries will outlast the car.
Yeah.
From day one, from 2014 when that came out.
Wow.
I think it's just the gamble that people don't like. Because with an engine, I guess you know that someone can repair it.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of people are worried that if, and let's say you get an i3 and the battery has a catastrophic
You have to go
issue.
to BMW to get it fixed.
You don't, but a
you-
lot of people won't realise that. The Hevra garages, the people that can fix it, or they might have to travel or send it somewhere,
trailer it.
or something to that effect. So it's like, I don't want that hassle hanging over my head.
Yeah.
So I'm not even going to go there.
Not going to bother.
No. So I think that's a bit of it. It's just lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
To be honest, you get loads of garages fixing EVs.
Do you know what?
It'll happen.
It would almost be good for a project to get. I mean, you more or less have to get given it, but to get an old vehicle that needs a battery, get in touch with somebody who can do batteries and just document it and go, right, well, this is if your battery does go, this is how you get it fixed.
You know, I would do that, but I know what would happen is, all right, I've just bought this Leaf for $2,000, and for another $2,500, I'm guessing now, I can get the battery
sorted,
up and running again to its original.
Even upgrade
length.
it.
Brilliant.
Get a 30 put in rather than 24.
Someone used to do the 40 upgrade in the old Leafs, but then the main, I won't say who, but the well-known garage, we say, stopped doing it due to, it was either issues or firmware issues, or they couldn't get the components fast enough. It was some reason, and it's just we're stopping doing it. It was a European thing that did it, a company that did these sort of stuff. But yeah, like you say, I'm sure someone would be able to at least repair an original as it was.
Yeah.
But what would happen is I'd probably spend 5-6 grand on this project, and the car be worth 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So I'm spending $2,000 of my own money to show people
And
how to do the same.
It becomes uneconomical to repair.
Yeah, unless you get to the point where, I don't know, maybe you can get a couple of sponsors and a series of videos that cover that cost. But then you think, but I could do that and not lose the money.
I think the thing is, at the
what am I telling people?
At the cheaper end of the market, people aren't going to do it.
No.
Tesla Model S that's nearly 10 years old, yes, people are going to fix
Yeah, because
that.
if you fix it, it's still worth
worth a
10,
lot of
12
money,
grand,
yeah.
as opposed to 2 or 3
Nothing,
or 4.
Yeah.
So, it's standard car economics. They've
Yeah,
always,
yeah.
like you say,
They've
once they get
always
to the
done that.
point, it ain't worth fixing.
Yeah,
It's like a
uneconomical
boiler.
economical to repair.
How many people replace a boiler when they know they can repair it?
Yeah.
So, well, it's like 15 years old now, we can repair it for 500 quid.
Oh,
or
let's
get
get
a
a
new
new
one.
one. Yeah.
Let's get a new one because it comes with a guarantee.
Yeah.
This is nothing new with
Nothing
EVs,
new, no.
but it's always highlighted.
Yeah. Yeah, there's nothing new with anything that you own, really, is it? There's not much that you have that's going to last you your lifetime.
How many people repair, I don't know, Xboxes and
Yeah, no, most people won't bother. They'll just get a new one.
get a new one?
Yeah.
And there's loads of channels out there where they literally buy loads of
Knackered equipment and repair it,
of
isn't
eBay and
Yeah,
repair it in front of your eyes.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
thinking, I could have probably done that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, there's one
Heat
that
gun,
had a
isn't there?
disc problem.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the disc wouldn't work, and he takes it back, puts it back together. No, it's working.
Working, yeah.
But it's like, oh no, I'll just buy it. It's only a couple £100.
Well, I think it's just changed, hasn't it? I certainly remember, being younger. I remember those days. You would try and repair things. If something did break, you give it a
Yep.
go. But nowadays, I think it's such a consumer. I think things are less easy to repair now, aren't they? You look at a phone, you can't easily repair a phone, can you now? It's not like it's got screws in it to get to where the battery
I've
is.
replaced a few batteries in iPhones.
It's not straightforward as just taking a few screws out.
Oh,
though,
God,
is
no.
it?
But
heat
interesting,
gun
they're
it.
changing the rules on that, are they?
Are they?
From
So you have to-
this year or maybe next year, all batteries
Yeah.
and consumer goods.
Yeah.
I hope I'm reading this right, or remembering this right. So it's like, does that cover a car as well? All batteries basically have to be replaced by the end user with basic tools.
Wow.
So that means you're going to
Basically,
have
fire,
Apple have
hammer.
yeah. So basically, a screwdriver and maybe one other tool. So effectively, remember in the Nokia, you take the back off and take the battery.
Yeah,
and put it
wasn't
back.
that brilliant?
That logically is the only way that someone like Apple and Samsung are going to have to do it. That's the EU directive. It's not like it's just us.
I remember having I think it was a Galaxy S2 back in the day. And again, I had that for 3 years, and after 2 years, the battery needed changing. I just got another battery, and I just went, click, and it was done. It was done.
Well, there's someone I work with in one at schools, and he's got a Galaxy something or another, and he's cracked the screen, and it's only about 3 or 4 months old.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I'm proper gutted because he had a cover on it, and everything.
That happened to me at
200,
Christmas.
250 quid for the screen.
Yeah.
And he's like, the phone's only worth 4.
I had a Pixel 6 Pro, and I'd had it over a year and a half maybe, and it fell out of my pocket getting out of the car, and it landed, it had a screen protector on and everything, landed on its screen, cracked it, the screen didn't work. So the first thing I did, I thought, I've got to get it fixed.
Yeah, you've worked in IT for 20 years. You should have the capability of
I
replacing.
looked, and no, I'm not doing that. It had a curved screen. So I thought, I'll send it off. 220 quid. I looked on eBay, a refurbished phone's 180. It's like, right, well, what I'll do now is I'll just put that to one side and I'll go and buy another Pixel.
You could probably sell your damaged one
Yeah, what's in the drawer?
for something.
Yeah. But again, it's like, if it costs more to fix it than it's being sold for second hand, there's something wrong there.
Which essentially sums up the whole go back to EV thing.
Yeah.
It's a consumer thing. It's not a technology of the car thing.
Yeah.
Like you say, if someone can make money out of it, it will happen.
Well, yeah, definitely.
If we end up with millions of EVs on the road, you're telling me no one's going to do a battery
Yeah.
it's just no. I'm sorry, you're deluded. But
It's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, we've sat in a Volkswagen event not that long ago where they've said, "Here's our timeline until 2029."
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
This. All electric.
Yep.
No petrol, not even
No,
any
nothing.
plug-in hybrids. So these people think they're going to destroy electric vehicles by proving that they're useless. Every manufacturer's got probably the next decade mapped out, knows what they're making, got billions into development,
And they're doing it.
they've got a platform
look
that's
at-
now there for 10 years.
you
They're
look
not going to turn it off.
You look at Porsche. The only petrol they're keeping is the 911.
And that'll be hybrid.
Yeah, everything else is going battery.
I'm sure I've just seen a test mule, or maybe it's coming out shortly, the full electric, another Porsche. Not
Boxster, Cayman.
might be the Boxster. I've just
Boxster
literally seen
Cayman
it.
is the next one, isn't it? Which is going to be full electric.
It's like, here you go. And it might have been a mechanic. It was something anyway.
Can you
basically
imagine just
full
how... I mean, the thing is, I bet they have to dial it down with the Boxster Cayman because a full electric one of them is probably going to be a lot quicker than a 911 out of most corners.
Well, yeah. I mean, remember when we went to Porsche headquarters,
Yeah.
and he said, 'cause we had the Taycan, and he said, Porsche could do better with this.
Yeah. This is
They
first
had-
gen.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't just that. He said they have all these things they wanted to implement,
Yeah.
but they had to get the car out. So it's like we have to stop developing at some point and go, here you go, here's
The finished product.
and this goes in the next one.
Yeah.
So they were already well ahead of the curve 3-4 years ago of what the Taycan could do, and that's probably one of the best, apart from maybe efficiency, which you don't buy a Taycan for.
Yeah.
In terms of
A driver's
driver
car.
feel, and it was just brilliant. So, and that's their first attempt.
Can you imagine what it's going to be
What's
like?
going to be like when we get to Gen 5?
Yeah. Every 8 years' time when there are a couple of gens forwards.
Yeah, and that will trickle down to other manufacturers as well.
Yeah, people within the group.
So I will mourn the loss of a nice petrol engine.
I
But
still
at the
think
end of
there'll
the
be
day,
events though where you
it's
can go,
happening,
where you
isn't
can go and see them.
But it's going to happen.
It will happen, yeah.
I don't understand this. Oh, let's try and get the governments to stop this. No. The economics of it have already kicked in.
It's tough though. Car makers are doing it.
Yes.
It's like the government could turn around and go, right, well, we're going to start doing petrol and diesel cars again. And these manufacturers are going to go, well, I'm sorry.
We've already tooled
We're
up
not
for this
doing
for the
it.
next decade.
Yeah,
So no.
we've put billions of pounds worth of development.
Many billions. Many. And that's per manufacturer.
Yeah.
So, and what makes me laugh is that it's like the UK can do a U-turn.
Yeah, like we're a big market.
We're a tiny market. The whole of Europe is doing the same EV sort of thing, or most of Europe. Lots of countries around the world essentially are doing the same as us. This is the cut-off point.
Yeah.
Because manufacturers were screaming for a cut-off point, so they knew when they had to plan.
Yeah, we need to.
If this is going to happen, we need to know when.
It's not just overnight. They go, right, Jeff, tomorrow when you come in, it's going to be EVs.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just a process that takes many years to turn in place. And at the moment, we're in that transition.
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
Where basically it ain't good enough in terms of infrastructure and all the usual crap that we talk about. So, nah. Obsolescence, I don't think, is... I think it's better than it was. If you remember that original Top Gear video,
Yeah.
and they had the Leaf.
Yeah.
And I think it was a Peugeot Ion or something like that. And I remember, because no one knew back then, even Nissan. So it's not to do with Clarkson or Top Gear. He said, oh, well, they think the batteries are going to last 5 years, maybe 6.
Yeah.
Them cars are still on the road now. They've degraded,
But they're still doing. You can
but they're
still drive
still
them.
around,
Yeah.
and the batteries have clearly lasted longer at the early stages.
If you got a Zoe, you're laughing.
Yeah, so it's one of those, isn't it? But again, people don't have... Sometimes you want to find forget. I don't want to worry about that. That's why warranties are always a big thing. I think warranties are bigger than ever.
Yeah.
I don't remember people being so bothered about warranty, even in petrol cars, than they are today.
Well, people get worried. Yeah, it's definitely a big thing, isn't it? As a warranty. There's a lot of people don't buy a car now without a warranty.
Well, you're just leasing it in PCP format,
Yeah.
aren't you, really? And then handing it back. So, yeah, I mean, in terms of the obsolescence, it's probably better than I think most people predicted a decade ago.
Yeah.
But obsolescence is a thing.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
You know, petrol cars do not last forever. Diesel cars do not last forever.
No.
I know someone out there says, oh, I've got a 19-year-old car and I could keep it running forever. Well, A, no. B, even if you wanted to, it would cost you money to do so. And C, if you're buying 19-year-old cars, why are you bothered about electric cars?
Well, there's 50...
Because you won't have to buy one until 2050.
Well, the thing is, there's 50-year-old cars out there, but there's not a lot of them.
And how much of work have they had to keep them on the road?
Maintenance. Yeah. All that.
I've got a 19-year-old car, and like I said, I just spent £2,500 to keep it on the road.
I think, how old's my other car? 17? The Skoda?
2017?
Yeah.
So, well, sorry, 2007, not 2017.
2007, yeah.
So, yeah, it's only 2 years younger than the TT is.
Yeah.
So that'll be 17 years old. Yeah.
So that's not going to... I can tell you what, it's going to go for a bit longer, but it won't go forever.
But you've just sunk money into it to get it back on the road.
I've sunk about $3,000 into that, which is probably, ironically, round about what it's worth.
Good thing you got it given. I mean, it was in a state.
It was in a state,
but it was a fun project, wasn't it?
Yeah, good fun that. Yeah, enjoyed it.
The project was more of the goal than the actual outcome.
Yeah.
So no, but that's the perfect proof there.
Yeah.
You've spent as much as a $4 or $5 Leaf just to get that.
Probably going to go to scrap.
Well, it would have done, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It had bloody water inside it.
Yeah. like an aquarium.
Pretty much, and it stunk, didn't it, for months?
Well, yeah, it does.
That musty smell you can never get rid of.
Yeah.
But no, I'm again. Well, let's wrap up the obsolescence. I'm not worried.
Nah, I think...
As long as you buy sensibly.
I think they're going to last longer than...
People thought, yeah.
15 years, I think.
But we are getting to that point where there are some, I wouldn't touch that car.
Yeah.
However,
personally.
there are some at the same age where they're like, well, I've already bought one. There you go, proof.
Yeah, and that's working fine.
So I get it's like everything, innit? There are good and bad.
Yeah, pick your ones and do
cars.
your researches.
Yeah, like petrol cars.
Yeah.
If you'd have bought a 17-year-old something else,
Citroen something or other.
you'd have
It's going
probably
to be falling to pieces probably.
Well, back to the 306 GTI 6.
Yeah.
How much of them do you reckon have gone off the market, or just disappeared, scrapped, due to essentially the chassis rusting away?
Oh, loads. Yeah.
I mean, I know that's not so much of a problem with more modern cars in terms of rust.
Yeah.
But
still, it's a thing. Isn't
that's
it?
what killed them. A lot of them, isn't it? It's not just the engine. And the fact that Peugeot recommended, was it a 6-year cam belt warranty, and the average snappage was 4.5.
Yeah.
That won't have helped.
No.
But I mean, in fact,
They
the
were
car I
they were
bought,
renowned for it, weren't they?
the car I bought, the previous person had a cam belt go,
Yeah.
and it was repaired by Peugeot, so it's still
yeah.
under warranty. And then what happened to you? A few years after
cam belt went.
the cam belt went.
Yeah.
Ironically, just after it was changed.
Yeah.
I wonder who could have done that wrong. But ultimately, yeah, pick your battles. There are good and bad EVs, there are good and bad petrol.
Yeah.
What you would do if you wanted to do an anti-EV thing is find the worst one and go, there you go, proof.
Yeah, do you?
Can you imagine us buying the worst? In fact, I've seen it a couple of times. Auto Trader did it. We bought the cheapest full electric vehicle on the Auto Trader.
Can you imagine buying the cheapest petrol car on Auto
It
Trader?
won't work.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it did 30 odd miles, did that Leaf that they bought, but it still worked fine.
Yeah.
Whereas, like I say, I bought the cheapest Ford Focus on Auto Trader.
And look
I
at it.
doubt it'd even have an MOT.
Yeah. Yeah, well, this is it, isn't it?
So, of course, if you buy the cheapest of something, it'd be rubbish.
Yeah.
So what are you proving with this video?
Absolutely nothing.
No, exactly. So, no, yeah, the obsolescence of everything in life, quite frankly. I mean, I've repaired a few things after watching videos that I would never have attempted.
Yeah.
And one of them, a washing machine, it was literally a hose that had gone punk.
Oh, just to clip it back
It was
on
an
again.
air. It was an air hose because it didn't know when it was getting full.
Ah, right, yeah.
It must do it by pressure or something. So it was literally just a hose on nothing to do with water, just air, and it was just dangling like that.
Clip it back on.
Yeah, put it back on again. It was fine. I mean, I know we would have got it repaired, and someone would have charged us £100 to do that.
Somebody else might have thrown it.
Yeah, because we've had it probably 6-7 years. Yeah, maybe that's the biggest problem.
Yeah,
Obsolescence through laziness. And the TV show, I've never seen it, but is that the repair shop or something?
Oh, yeah. People bring stuff in, don't they? It's like absolutely ruined. And it comes out looking new.
But the trouble with that, I guess, is that the labour for that guy to repair something, even at basic costs, would probably cost more than the thing they're repairing.
Yeah.
That's people aren't working for £2 an hour.
Yeah. And we're getting stuff so cheap now compared to what it used to be, I guess.
I mean, you've got staring at one now, a force feedback steering wheel.
Oh, yeah.
For,
If that breaks, I'll have to get another.
But it's probably just a motor or something to replace.
Or a rubber band inside it or something
Or
like
something
that.
simple,
belt.
yeah. But A, they don't design them to be repaired.
Yeah.
B, where do you get the parts from?
Exactly.
And C, I guess you could spend a few hours doing it, but if you paid someone to fix it,
yeah,
it'd be more than that.
Yeah, more than it's worth doing.
That's the real issue,
isn't
isn't it?
On it.
Yeah. So I guess maybe that's why petrol and diesel cars still have that. I can repair them easily myself.
I know somebody who can do that.
Yeah, well, you don't have that with EV
yet.
So, yeah, clearly problems that need to be fixed and will be with economics.
Oh, what's that done?
Oh, I think it's just gone to a different
file.
Yeah, must have a maximum file size.
All right.
It's still recording. That's still recording because I'm using an older camera that doesn't fill up the memory cards in half a second.
Shall we wrap it up?
Let's wrap it up. So I'm guessing that's probably what, an hour it does.
I think so. I saw it at 50-some minutes a little while ago.
Nothing. Must do an hour increment. Interesting stuff for you to hear now.
Yeah.
We're learning how this works, even though I've owned it for 4 years.
Fantastic.
Oh, fire and forget. You know what I'm going to do with that camera when it stops working? Get a new one.
Yeah. It's done well as that.
I'm not going to repair it.
Right.
You could. So, right, okay. We are done. Like, subscribe.
All that usual stuff.
And you know what? I've just realised what we haven't done.
The word.
No.
What?
In the last, because we haven't even put that one out yet, in the last podcast we said, put a joke in the comments to prove you're listening at the end, and we'll read it out.
We can't do that.
Because we filmed this before. All right, so
the next time we'll do a joke from the first one.
So if you're still watching this after over an hour, put a dad joke in. Make it social media safe, please.
Yeah.
And the best ones, when we get to filming the next one, we'll try and read some out.
Yeah.
But of course, the final word of the podcast.
I'm going to say pussy.
Well, no one can argue with that.